guys, it's M4J here, and welcome back to the M4J network here on OpenTTD. It has been 2 weeks since the last video. It is 2 weeks, isn't it? Yeah, since the last video. Apologies for that. My computer decided to have a major malfunction and just not cooperate with me anymore. I think we had a difference of opinion because it wanted to be a desktop computer. I wanted it to be a powerful desktop computer. And we had a little bit of an argument. I took it apart. It decided to agree with me, and here we are, hopefully making videos again. I haven't decided what it's going to be like for Thursday yet, whether the stream is going to go ahead or whether I'll do a video instead. So stay tuned for that. Discord is probably the best place to stay up to date with that. But we are here. I have this video. It's in 2 parts. Those of you who were present for the stream will know that it decided to give up halfway through the first stream. I think it was like 15 minutes it lasted before it gave up. So it was 2 streams that have been combined into a single video. I was going to add some extra clips at the end as well, but to be honest, I have been on the game since. It's not like I've given up on OpenTTD or anything, but I just didn't really find the motivation to record the extra clips. And I know there was meant to be some for the freight rework as well, which never got done either. There is a lot of stuff that's gone on behind the scenes still. The entirety of the Western Reaches North network is now up and running. So that's awesome. That's something else I did behind the scenes. I still need to go and make sure the network central line is set up and ready, because this week's stream was meant to be me doing the cross-region services that use that line and starting to plan out services out of the station you see getting built here, which I will talk more about in just a second. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure on the stream yet. There's no bonus footage like promised. Apologies for that. And I think that's pretty much all the headlines in terms of what's going on with OpenTTD. I have found a way to record now without OBS being a pain in the arse, so that's good. And we'll see if that then transfers over to streaming or not. If it doesn't, then big issue, obviously. I might see if I can use Streamlabs OBS and OBS Studio at the same time. I'm not giving too much away right now as to how I fix the problem with OBS, because I'm going to be writing a blog post on that. So again, stay tuned on Discord and Twitter and Facebook and all the good places for when that goes live. Mainly because I'm a view whore and I need to get the view count up on my website. So any excuse really to get more people to visit that. I'll be writing a blog talking all about how I fix the OBS issue and whether or not it will work for anyone else who's had a similar issue. Hopefully it will. But yes, to talk about at last what you're actually seeing on screen. So I should have told you to say goodbye to half of the town of... Can't actually read that right now. I think it's like... Oh, I can't even read that right now. My preview's too small. I need to find a way to increase my preview size as well so I can actually read what these town names are. But say goodbye to whatever town that was, because I completely bulldozed it in order to build this brand new Gardcity Terminus station. This is probably... Out of all the Gardcity termini, this is probably the largest in terms of like square footage, but one of the smallest in terms of platforms. So you've got GSG, which is absolutely humongous, isn't it? Like 26, 28 platforms, something ridiculous, if you include the HLR and the Metro and everything like that. This one is 8 platforms on the usual main line, plus an additional 4 on the overground, 2 on the underground, and then if you want to be pedantic, include all the bus stops and things as well. I think we're looking somewhere in the 20s overall. So it's still quite big, I suppose. It's quite sprawled out. But the reason it's so big is this is Gardcity St Bartholomew, which at the time of me naming this seemed like a really good idea, but as Andy pointed out on Discord, what happens to Bartholomew Square? The answer to that is the area of Bartholomew in the original Gardcity is now going to be renamed Bathgate. Bartholomew Square will keep its name. That's not changing, because there are towns and cities. In fact, I used the example, I believe, that when I drive to St Albans now, I drive on Hatfield Road. Hatfield Road doesn't actually go through Hatfield. It just goes to Hatfield and then stops. So it's kind of like that. There'll be like a Bartholomew Street that will run between St Bartholomew, which is now where GSB sits, and Bartholomew Square, which is now in Bathgate. That's kind of explaining away the fact that I forgot that Bartholomew Square actually existed when I chose the name St Bartholomew for the new station. So yeah, I kind of styled it out, but inside I was thinking, oh shit. So we solved that problem as well. It's good when you can improvise a quick solution. I suppose. It's one of my many skills. But yeah, we have that little issue and we've solved it. But this is Gardcity St Bartholomew. It is technically the newest station in terms of the timeline of this series, but it's going to be one of the older stations in terms of the actual history of the network. Just imagine it sat here for all these years and I just never mentioned it before. Kind of like that. It's more modern in its design, but it went through, say, a Euston rebuild, but not like a Euston rebuild, because this Euston rebuild actually looks good rather than the actual Euston rebuild, which looks like dog dirt. And hopefully the new Euston rebuild, when High Speed 2 comes along, will be a much better job. If they rebuild Euston anything like St Pancras International, then we're on to a winner. If they rebuild it like they did Euston in the 60s, then they've completely messed up. And it'll just be another white elephant. So fingers crossed on that. But this is a more modern design. You can say when the Overground came in, they rebuilt the station in order to make it look a little bit more modern and, you know, upgrade it so that the footfall could actually go through the station safely. And you can see where I'm building the Overground tracks. 2 pairs, one either side, north and south. The south side is the third rail electrified lines, and they do then join up with the underground a little bit further east and run out along that overground branch. Kind of justifies why that overground branch is so long now, because the overground joins it as well. The other set of lines here are overhead electrified, and I don't think I've come up with a destination for that yet. So if you do have any ideas, feel free to comment them down below. I think at the moment it just ends at a dead end. I think it also turns slightly north once it leaves GSB, and it has a connection, I believe, with the Winston branch of the Great Eastern Main Line as well. Although that might be the other one. Again, I'm trying to remember. It's been 2 weeks since I did this. One of those is correct. The other 2 are lies. I can't remember which. I think it's the third rail actually that goes out and connects with the Great Eastern. I think the overhead doesn't connect with anything yet. There's also a couple of other new stations on the map. There's a station between GSB and the Parkway station that I built many weeks ago on stream. That's just, it kind of acts a bit like Brendington Indigo Junction. It's just another connection point. You can imagine there'll be like buses and trams and things that connect up to that. The idea is to get as many passengers moving around the network as possible in order to make the network as profitable as possible. Because right now we're not exactly making huge amounts of money. And just like in real life, it's always nice to be making money. My Adobe subscription renewed today, and I'm still crying from that. So, yeah, just trying to find ways to make money both in and out of the game. It seems. So the philosophy for this station was quite simple, really. 8 platforms that go down into 6 tracks, I think it is. 5 tracks, sorry. 2 on the slow, 3 on the fast. Although one of the ones on the fast is also technically a slow. Then it connects up to the station. Or is it 2 and 4? It might be 2 and 4, actually. No, it is 2 and 3. It is 2 and 3. I do know what I'm talking about, honest. Oh, yeah, so that's what it does. It goes from 8 down to 6, down to 5. Then it goes down to the station site, which you see me building here. Meanwhile, the fast lines, I think there are 3 of them still. And then it goes down into up and down directions. So it's quite simple. Some of the other stations in and around Gardcity might be a bit too optimistic with some of the approach line designs, so that's something that I could perhaps scale down a little bit more now. These were built in the days before scheduled dispatch, which is why they are the size that they are. Now that I've got scheduled dispatch and I know when trains roughly are going to be running down certain sections of track, I can kind of, as I said, scale it down and make it a bit more realistic again and a bit more manageable. But right now it was well, at the time I should say, it was easier just to go big to begin with and then not have to worry about having to scale it up if necessary. So yeah, I do like this. I know when people were submitting designs for this build, and I kept complaining saying you don't want to destroy the town too much. A lot of what you see me destroy here does get replaced. Most of it happened off camera. The second time the stream crashed, I gave up trying to make it work and just decided to finish it off off camera. And at that point I did kind of go back and you know, make it look a little nicer and filled in the gaps in the town and things like that. Some of the overground stations that you'll see me build in a second as well. Same issue, just went back and tidied it up a little bit more, made it look a little bit nicer. yeah, I think it works really well. I'm really looking forward to seeing trains use this. Something that people were saying in the stream chat as well. Some of these builds, they kind of get built, and then like 6 months later, I might actually make them functional. Right now, my main priority here is to actually get trains running in and out of this station as soon as possible, which is one of the reasons why Network Central was going to be the focus of this week's stream. It's still going to be the focus of this week's content, regardless of whether it's a stream or a video. I might set up a test stream. So if you're watching this on the Tuesday, I might set up a test stream on the Wednesday. Not playing any game in particular. I might switch between various games just to see what works on stream and what doesn't. Because I do like streaming, don't get me wrong. But it's so disheartening when you spend ages setting up a stream and you get really pumped up for it, and then the stream crashes after like 5 minutes. So I want to test and make sure that things work, but I don't want to do it on an official stream. I'd rather do it on a test one. There is still the danger, of course, that I set up a test stream and it works, and then I set up an actual stream and it doesn't work, which is something that happened with my videos lately. I set up a Football Manager video that worked perfectly, and then I tried to do it with sound, and it didn't work perfectly. So that was kind of disheartening, but it does still function. So, again, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, the idea for Network Central, not many Network Central trains are actually going to call at GSB. It's one of the reasons why GSB isn't a huge station, is it's kind of, some Network Central trains will come into GSB and then reverse out again and continue north or south, depending on which direction they're coming from. Some will terminate at GSB and then head back in the direction they came from. No cross-region train or cross-network train is going to use GSB. That's not what it's for. They are going to use the Network Central line, but they're going to use the bypass and not come into Gardcity at all. It's only going to be Network Central trains that use the station. But I need to get Network Central up and running for cross-region, so at that point I'll then start using it for Network Central services as well. I haven't seen what the map looks like at the moment, so I don't know what I can't even remember the name of the franchise. I don't think it is Network Central. But I've asked George, as well as making a franchise map, to also just make a route map using the route names. And I think that one's going to be easier to monitor. So now if I say Network Central, I'm talking about the route and not the franchise. But yeah, because it goes down south to Bathurst Street and on towards Denston and Drentbourne and Tarnway and Funston, I can never say that properly, and other places like that. It's kind of an important link between the north and south. It's the only way really to go from north to south without going through the Greater Gardcity kind of corridor, the Centre Rail connection. Because although the Bath City commuter belt does run north, it doesn't actually connect to the Grand Northern line like the Network Central does. And the Network Central connects north and south to the Grand Northern line. So really you could in theory run trains from Sunnington all the way down to Pruntford using the Network Central line. I'm not saying necessarily that's going to happen, but I have had ideas for, when I was talking about budget rail a few weeks ago, that was one idea I had, was to have a really slow service that snakes its way through. Maybe has a train a day kind of thing, and see how feasible that would actually be. Personally, I'm not that convinced, but it might be nice as a little vanity thing just to say, tried it, see if it works. But yeah, anyway, to stop talking rubbish and to start talking sense again, what you're seeing on screen right now is me building the underground connection between Bartholomew Square and Gardcity St Bartholomew. And I can imagine this will end up being called the Bartholomew line, because it runs through Bartholomew technically twice. And those of you who are asking, by the way, no, it's not Bartholomew as in The Simpsons. I know some people did ask that way back when I called it Bartholomew Square. It just so happens that I'm watching The Simpsons at the moment on Disney+, but that's not where the inspiration came from. I can't actually remember where it came from, but I know it wasn't The Simpsons. But there was a St. Bartholomew. I think it was when I was trying to come up with a name for the station that's now known as GSE. I looked up just patron saints, or just saints in general, and Bartholomew was one of the first ones alphabetically. So I think I just, at that point, put it on the maybe pile, so that one day in the future I'll have a station with that name. And here we are, with a station with that name. So it kind of paid off. But yeah, we're running the line between Bartholomew Square and St Bartholomew. It also connects up here at Rindingwell Embankment, So it has a nice overground connection here as well, and it's another way of connecting the two overground branches together. So you don't have to go down to Rindingwell Overground. You can actually connect at Rindingwell Embankment, take the tube one stop to St Bartholomew, and then get on the other branch there. I don't know whether that would actually be a thing that people do or not. They probably go to Rindingwell Overground because it might be a slightly faster journey, but I just thought I'd do it anyway. Oh yeah, there's 3 underground platforms, not 2. I did get that wrong. I knew I got that wrong. So dumb. Because yeah, there might be trains that terminate here. That will probably be the Bartholomew line, actually, the one that terminates and then runs back. Whereas the through line will probably be maybe the Rindingwell line or something else. I don't know. I can't really think of many names right now. The 2 underground lines also will connect slightly further east. I think I do that on stream. I can't remember off the top of my head, because again, you've got the branch that comes from GSJ that then runs out east. This one comes technically from GSG, but also through Bartholomew Square, and then runs out east. And the 2 branches do converge, and then the overground joins as well. And hopefully we'll have lots of trains running along this connection as well. You know me, I want a train every 20 seconds arriving at the major stations on the network. One of the best ways of doing that is to just chuck as many lines together as possible and hope it works when you actually start testing trains. We shall find out. I'm still surprised that the GWR works as well as it does, particularly now that I've got more freight trains operating on it than before. It does still seem to work. I think some freight trains are actually held up by the passenger trains rather than the other way around, and I kind of prefer that, because although the freight trains do pay more, in real life passenger trains do have priority on the main line. So it kind of makes sense to do it that way. At least it does in my opinion. You'll also notice some new station designs on this underground branch. Since I downloaded the add-ons for Dutch platforms, I've been trying to find ways to experiment with these new designs. I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. I think it works really, really well. The new shelter design especially, I think, looks really, really good, and the bike shelters and all that kind of thing. As again, it's Dutch platforms, so you're going to have lots of Dutch themed objects like bike shelters, because they're crazy for bikes over there. I think it's Rotterdam Central Station has the largest bike garage in the world. It's got storage for like 20,000 bicycles, which is just insane. So yeah, it's something I'd like to reflect, because a bit like with New Gardcity on City Skylines, I like the idea of encouraging cycling as much as possible. Obviously, you don't have cyclists in OpenTTD, but it's still nice to try and encourage it and have a sustainable, healthy living city, that kind of thing. Quick rebuild of these platforms here as well, because of the way the underground connects with the overground here. Again, I'm just using eye candy, like the little underpass thing there. It doesn't actually function, but it still looks cool to actually see it on screen. So yeah, thought I'd include that too. And then we've got this is the freight loop now that I'm building over the station here, and then a little bit further east we've got the city. That name needs changing, I think, because I think at the moment it's called the North City North Line or the North City Line, but it loops around from east to west, so I think I might just call it the City Bypass. But it's used by mostly cross-region trains. It's also currently used by Gardcity Connect services. In fact, it's only used by Gardcity Connect services right now, but it will also be used by cross-network, so cross-region and cross-country, that are running from east to west and north to south technically too, because it does connect those up as well. But yeah, it's just I was considering building some platforms on that line for this station. It could still be possible, I suppose, but it's not a priority. And it also then technically wouldn't be avoiding Gardcity if it had a station at one of the major terminals. So just to make the name consistent still, I reckon I'll just leave it as is for now. That could change in the future. Maybe I'll build a branch from that connects up with the approach lines to GSB, and we'll go from there and see how it works. But yeah, this station is also focusing a lot more on aesthetics as well as functionality. So I know how to build functional stations now, so that's not an issue. So the 8 platforms going down into 6, going down into 5, going down into 4, that all works fine. That's been tried and tested many, many times before. But actually building something that not only functions well but also looks nice, that's new for me. So I started it sort of 3-4 weeks ago now when I decorated Quinn City. Then I also went when I built Pruntford, and that was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? No, 3 weeks ago. So Quinn City must have been before that. But making those stations look nice as well. I have gone back over some other stations across the network and thrown a bit more eye candy down. Plus we had the freight terminal. What was that? That was 3 weeks ago, making that look nice. So I thought I might as well do the same thing here. So as you can see, the huge Gard Square, which is the unofficial name of Gardcity St Bartholomew, is Gard Square, and that is taken from New Gardcity. It's technically taken from Gardcity that I had in my Minecraft series, because that was Gard Square, and then it became the center point of New Gardcity on City Skylines, and now it's been included on OpenTTD as well. So all bases are officially covered. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat as well today. So yeah, the unofficial name of Gardcity St Bartholomew is Gard Square, and that big set of plazas and things that I've built outside of it is the Gard Square that the name comes from. Plus we've got all the bus stops and things as well. The tram line that you just see me adding now, which actually doesn't go anywhere near the bus stops, it's a separate thing. That's something else I'm going to start doing around Gardcity now, is taking the tram away from the bus stops and making it its own sort of area, because you've got places like GSG, GSP, GSMI and GSMA where tram lines start and finish, but some of the other stations like Halliday Circus doesn't need a huge amount of tram platforms because all trams that stop there are all going in one direction or the other, so there's no turning circles necessary. And that goes for quite a few of the other sort of like Bankside as well. Maybe we will have a tram line that starts and ends at Bankside, but I don't need a huge amount of tram stops for that. I can just loop the track round, so that's no problem either. And just like refining it a little bit more, because I imagine the infrastructure maintenance is quite expensive. Even though I've got most of it turned off, I think some of it is still turned on for realism's sake. So to be able to go back and fix that would be useful as well. Plus, I mean, just it makes it look nicer. It makes it look a little less chaotic and a little less blur to actually have it work a little bit better, you know. It's just, I kind of, when I built it at the time, it was kind of a stuff it that'll do mentality, but the more I look at it now, the more I realise that, again, it functions, but it doesn't look great, and I'd like to have something that does both. And, I mean, looking at Bartholomew Square on the screen right there, that does look good and functions very well now. Especially with the new timetable for the capital line. It looks a lot better. So, yeah, it's just about going back and making little tweaks to make it all look as well as Gardcity St Bartholomew and function as well as Gardcity St Bartholomew. This is the first terminus station since GSE where I've actually built it with a plan in mind as to how it was going to look. GSE, I kind of improv'd a lot of it, but there was still a plan for a lot of it too. So it was kind of thought out. The freight terminal as well, I suppose, the other week, that was thought out too. But what I'm basically trying to say is I put some thought into this and didn't just make it up as I went along. I had an idea in my head as to how it was meant to look and basically executed it. There were a couple of things that were a little bit different, like the way the underground came in. Originally it was meant to run across the back, but now it runs across the side. And the way the tram comes in as well. But the bus stops are all pretty much where I thought they were going to go. The overground platforms are all pretty much where I thought they were going to go. And they're elevated at the right height as well. The fact that it's all grade separated, so the freight loop passes underneath the overground, but then over the top of the mainline station, and then underneath the overground again. That works really well. The metro/underground threads its way through quite nicely as well, so I'm also quite happy with that. There is actually a station here that you'll see me build that this does connect the avoiding line, the bypass line, with the underground, so that kind of makes up for what I was saying earlier about it connecting up to GSB. In fact, because of this, I don't think I do need to connect it. I'm pretty sure I said that at the time as well, so yeah, I think I forgot that I built this station. And then you can see it comes down here and connects up with the other underground branch, and then the overground just connects up on that corner piece that you see. So it does work. It looks really great. I'm very happy with it. I do upgrade some of the other stations along the route so they can have underground and overground trains calling there. The other station that I built in the little gap there as well looks really cool. And then one thing I like is, okay, the trees help with this a little bit, but it kind of already looks like it was there before the town, and the town grew up around it rather than the other way around. So again, I'm happy with the result. Hopefully you guys think it's a good build as well. I'd like to think so, but to each their own. I am very happy with the response to a lot of my projects now, because I'm putting a lot more thought and attention into what it's actually going to look like, as well as just saying, you know, I'm going to build a station this week and I don't really care what it looks like, because all I said was I was going to build a station. It doesn't have to be a good one. Whereas now I want it to be a good one as well. And the response has been encouraging, so I'm happy with that. Plus it's nice to look over these things and remind myself that I built them. Sometimes I forget, like the freight terminal. Every time I see the freight terminal now, I have to remind myself I built that, because it doesn't look like something I would build, because it's not that great to look at still. Wait, no, that's not what I meant to say. Most of my builds aren't that great to look at still, but the freight terminal is good to look at because it's quite well themed and decorated and things like that. So yeah, I'm happy. I think it looks really good. Very, very happy. And yeah, we're basically coming up towards the end of the video now. We've got a minute or so left. It's just me connecting all these lines up again. I had to prioritize the freight loop and the bypass line, because they're the ones that are used by Gardcity Connect and freight services. So getting those connected up again was the priority, but now that's done, I can sort of focus on the underground and the overground and the network central and all the other good stuff. So very, very happy. Looking forward to seeing all the trains run, particularly in the M4J rail livery. But of course, my patrons, I have emailed a patron who hasn't got back to me yet about tier rewards, so hopefully that happens soon. Excuse me. And at the end of this month, we'll have a second patron, or technically a third patron, who's now eligible for claiming a franchise as well. So who knows, the Network Central might even get claimed and be renamed, rebranded, and all that good stuff. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. This is me just connecting the overground up here. I don't really know why I decided to do it via this bridge method, because I didn't have to, but I don't know. I guess it looks cool. You can kind of say that the overground and the underground joined together at a later date rather than were built together. Yeah, it's just me kind of winging it and trying to find an explanation, I suppose. But yeah, it works. That's the main thing. It does work, and it will function because I've got the signals and everything set up too. I haven't done the speed limits yet. That is something I'm going to have to come back and do. It's pretty much going to be 30 to 40 miles an hour along most of this anyway, so there's no issues there. What am I doing here? I think I'm just rebuilding the approach junction for this terminus station. So I can't remember the name of the town that it's connected to, but it's something Parkway is the name of that station. And it's mainly going to be used as a terminus for the underground, but it could, in theory, be a terminus for the overground as well. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this episode, guys. It was a bit of a mishmash, and again, I apologise for the stream not working out a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully, from now on, it will work again. But yeah, we'll find out on Thursday. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series, drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support, and until next time, I will see you soon.